Bang! Neevesknives. I'm Jared with my buddy Zach from Zach in the Wild on YouTube. I'm sure you guys know exactly who this is, but just in case for people that don't know, Zach, what's up, bud?
Hey,
Let
man,
them
how's
know
it
who you
going?
are.
Super excited to be here. Yeah, so Zach in the Wild. I do YouTube videos about pocket knives and adventures and sometimes vintage vans and sometimes getting lost in the forest. And yeah, I don't know, a little bit of everything. Stoked to be here.
Your channel, man, your editing, it's on point, man. I am taking notes. Your videos are just, man, they're top notch.
Thanks, man.
I
And
got to give you a lot of credit, man.
that's in
Holy cow.
huge portion to Jamie. So me and Jamie are a team. We've been working together for a long time.
Shout out to Jamie.
Yeah, shout out to Jamie. He's behind the camera as per usual, but he's here. So yeah. It's the way it looks is Jamie is the man.
He is kicking ass.
Yes, he
even
is.
Kara, when we were you know, on your channel earlier, and she's like, holy cow, like this is so good. And I'm like, I know, I'm writing stuff down.
Yeah, if you want
really
a fun exercise, if you go back and you can watch any of the recent videos and then go back to any video before the Victorinox compact that I did, that was the first one I think me and Jamie did together. I still shot it on a GoPro, but yeah, I think that was the first one that we did together. Look at anything before that, and yeah, you'll see there's a stark difference.
A big difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you shoot on a GoPro?
So I was for a long time. So I kicked the channel off as just kind of an experiment. I was just like, hey man, I want to try out some YouTube stuff because I was, working in YouTube before, and I was like, I'll do some YouTube on my own. And yeah, so I was just shooting on a GoPro for a long time, and then yeah, we upgraded to some nicer cameras. Our 9-to-5 job, we use cameras there, and we were able to kind of like source those cameras, and yeah, that's what we use now. Is we're kind of riding on the backs of those cameras right now.
But that's awesome though. I mean, especially since you're kind of already used to it, you know. So
yeah, it's nice.
It only makes sense. So what where are you like trying to take the channel? Like, do you have anything that you really have planned that's like either coming up or like that you want in the future with the channel?
Yeah, so
like,
actually,
obviously we all want to grow the channel, right?
Of course,
but sometimes there's like a goal, you know.
Yeah. So we have some top secret stuff that will be getting out there soonish. But one big thing that I don't think many people know, we told a couple people at Blade West, but we haven't announced it broadly, really. We mentioned over on our Patreon, but we actually just took the channel full time. So we left our 9-to-5 job, I think it was like a week and a half ago.
That's awesome.
And now we're just doing this full time. So
good for you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man. We're really excited. So what that means for the channel is, we'll be getting some more content going. We're working on some like really cool projects right now. Different things. Like we're working on some stuff in the knife world, working on some stuff with like some leather companies, some other things like that. But the longer term goals that are kind of coming up, still a little top secret, but coming soon.
I get you. You know, I always have to do that too with stuff. I'm doing this also full time. Awesome. And my wife Kara, she actually left her job a few months back.
Cool.
To help out here.
Well, you guys are a great team too, so that's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But no, that it does put a burden though, and then it makes you really have to step it up. But I always think it's a good idea for us guys, like sometimes to not leave a back door open, make yourself have to work for it, and where you don't have any choice but to succeed.
Well, and that's exactly
Yeah,
we have a running joke right now. So with all the move, I moved away from Utah Valley where we were living for a long time. I moved away from Utah Valley, bought a little property, just a fixer-upper that I'm working on. And then Jamie's lease was up at his place. And we're like, okay, well, we should go full time with this. So it kind of makes sense for us to live in the same place. And I was like, well, I've got a garage. I can build you an apartment in my garage. So right now I have like a house half apart. I have a garage half built. And so we keep making the joke that we're unemployed and homeless right now, but we're getting there. This is why we're here. This is the nicest. This is literally the cleanest, nicest spot of the house.
That's the perfect corner right there.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's hilarious, man. But even like with me, man, if nobody really knows, I mean, I guess the followers know, but like at the beginning of the channel, I didn't have anything. I literally had laundry baskets and books. and was propping my phone, and it just, one step at a time, and, until now, but it's definitely been a huge journey. But yeah, when you don't have that safety net, it really makes you hungry. It makes you have that drive to where, there's no chance of failure. I have to succeed. And you will, man. You're so good at this. It's
Thanks, man.
amazing. And I was gonna say, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have so many knives that it's pathetic, and I'd
Appreciate
be
it.
happy to send you whatever, or anything else, right?
That's awesome.
Regardless what it is. So I'm gonna hit the chat really quick. I seen a couple little funny comments.
Awesome.
Zach and Ben created their own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Ben are pretty good friends. Do you guys live near each other or something?
So
No?
kind of. When I was where I used to live, we were for a while we were only like 15 minutes away, and then he moved up north, so we were about 45 minutes away. Now we're about 2.5, 3 hours away. But I mean, that's like, dude, I literally will just drive wherever, whenever, for however. Like, if you were like, hey, dude, let's hang out, I'd be like, cool, I'll leave now, and I'll just drive to like where you're at. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. I gotcha.
so yeah, for us, yeah, we're close. We're still plenty close physically, but yeah, like we're really good buddies. Like we really just like we not only do we like vibe together really well, which is important, but more
Yeah.
importantly, we can push each other, right? Like we can be like, well, what about this? What about this? And it's just like a creative process of growing. It's never like, oh, my feelings are hurt about this thing you said. Like, so it's just like, Ben, that idea sucks. Or more often it's, oh, Zach, that idea sucks. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's make it better.
It's good to have that. It's good to have
is.
a person that you trust, and that's also going to be honest.
Because that it's never. We have a saying like, you're not your idea, right? We know it never comes from a place of meanness, because we're like really good friends, right? It comes from a place of like doing better, right?
Yeah, you definitely want to be open-minded, and it's not even good to think like that. I think it's really good to to be like that, or just you're open-minded and accept people criticizing what you're doing, because because you can, that's going to be the person that's probably going to help you, by listening to their criticisms, because they're looking at you from a different point of view. So it's good to listen to them. I see Seems Logical says, ask Zach if he has ever handled an authentic kukri.
Okay. So an authentic kukri, I feel like I've sat down with Joe Flowers, and I think that he like brought an actual authentic kukri, but I'm not positive. and if I did, honestly, knowing Joe, he probably got it in some village somewhere awesome in the jungle, somewhere in the world. And so I wouldn't even tell you the brand, but because he's a big machete guy, right? He's in South America a lot. And I want to say that he did have like an authentic kukri when we sat down, but I've never used one, like actually used one. So
Seems Logical. He bought me one. And I got it, and it's so badass. And it's an authentic one, which makes it even more badass. That Blade Show West. Oh yeah, the paper cutting video. Aaron B says that Blade Show West, you can cut 3 clean cuts on a paper, was a good video. I agree, and I have to say I was wishing I was there so bad when I seen that. Like,
I think you commented. I think you were like, why wasn't I there or something?
There'd have been the one time I probably would have had something with a factory edge or something, though. But I'm really big into sharpening, so like stuff like that just is right up my alley. But when I was watching that, I just couldn't help. I just kept thinking, like, I could have been there and could have showed everybody. No, I'm joking.
Well, and that's the funny thing is like we had guys pulling out like brand new knives, but it was, well, there's 2 things, right? Like I think there's a nerve thing with some of these guys, just nervous, right? Would make total sense. Like not everybody's on camera all the time. And then I think the other thing too was just technique, right? Like, and that was the thing is, dude, if the beginning of that video, or not the beginning, but in the video, we talked with Lynn Thompson, right? And the funny thing is we're like walking through the auditorium of Blade Show West, and all of a sudden I just hear, hey, Zach, and I look over and it's freaking Lynn Thompson, the man himself, right? And he's like, "Oh, you want to do a pocket check?" I'm like, "Well, we're actually doing this like cut video." And he's like, "All right, let's do it." And we had to cut a bunch of it. He did every single knife. I mean, it was like 7 knives. He had a fully serrated like XL Espada or Vaquero.
I seen that.
Literally did it with that. Like,
yeah, he was pulling knives out of everywhere.
Oh, dude, it was so
really
fun. That dude, he's a very interesting guy. You got to definitely get him, right, to get him. But me and him have a good relationship, and so it was.
He seems like a good guy to know.
Yeah.
But you're right, the technique when doing it is definitely a huge thing, and you can tell the people that cut lots of paper.
Yeah.
You know, when they grab it, they know how to hold it. They know every, detail on how to get it through really cleanly.
Yep.
Because I know I was watching a few guys and I could tell, I was like, they just, their knife could be sharp. They're just not used to cutting paper. But no, that was awesome. Doing that. I think that's a great topic to probably continue, doing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if people dig it, and I think people like that one, like Aaron B did, right? And so we'll, I think that's something we'll probably cook up again here in the future at some point.
JD for EDC, thank you for the 2 bones. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. And then we got Talica with the 5 bones. Thank you, man. Thoughts on the Manix XL and 4V? That is a Deadpool theme. What's your thoughts on it? On the Manix XL in 4V, and it's got it's the Deadpool, so black and red.
Yeah. So color scheme, awesome. Blade steel, awesome. I've just never been a Manix guy personally. So
no,
the Manix, it's just never spoke to me. So I mean, I can appreciate it. I love the design. I love the build, but just for me personally, just use in hand and all that, not my thing.
Yeah. I got the XL sitting right here. I do love it. And it's got a screamer on there, screaming edge. But no, I really like I like both the regular one and the XL. For me, I love the ball lock, and I wish that we've seen it on more of their models with, obviously different shapes and stuff like that, but the exact same locking system with the, the cage, because I've seen them do other locking systems similar, but just without the cage, and they never really work as good. And it's just, I don't know why they haven't just put this locking system on a bunch of their models. Do you like the locking system at all, or is it just the knife you don't like?
No, and I do. That's actually the thing. I completely agree with you on the locking system. I would love to see that on more Spydercos. Yeah, and again, I can recognize it as a great knife. Just the way it feels in hand, it just doesn't do it for me. To be honest,
doesn't do it.
There's so much of Spyderco that I love, and I love like the Glessers. Like I love all of their philosophy around knives and uses and everything that they do, right? But honestly, like a lot of Spydercos just aren't for me.
So what is a knife that's more let me just ask this. If you were a knife, what knife would you be?
Oh wow, that's a big question, man.
I know it is.
The big guns right out of the gate. You got to ask me existential questions right now. Oh man, that's really hard. I mean, I want to
just how about this? What are some knives that you love that really speak to you, that are like your style, I personally I love there's certain blade shapes that when I see them, to me it just screams usefulness, and that's how I relate with knives, is through being a tool, because I grew up in construction my whole life, so I was always using a knife as a tool.
I actually didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, my whole life, my whole family did construction, so I worked basically every different type of construction, from concrete to roofing to carpentry, just about everything.
I'm pulling out knives right now while you're talking. I've got my knife collection right here. Well, most of it didn't all fit, which is a good problem, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when you ask about when we go to knife blades, right? I think the thing that always jumps out to me is just a good warning, right? So Kaiser Deviant.
Oh, I love that knife,
dude. I love this knife. It's so good. So I
seen it on your channel, and I had to watch it, because that was one that I'm not going to say it's underrated or anything like that, because I think it is, but I think people do really like it. But it's a knife I just absolutely love. Sheepdog design.
Oh yeah. It's just so good. It's I actually think I'm with you. I think it is underrated. Like I showed a bunch of people at Blade Show West this, and they're like, "Oh, did you like do the scales or the bolsters?" I'm like, "No, no, no. It comes like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so good."
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that just that kind of like Wharncliffe, sheep's foot, whatever you want to call it, right? Like it's just that is probably the blade that calls to me the most. And I got like the Micra, right? Like I've been digging on this thing too.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so those are kind of some knives that I carry. Those are like knife styles that I carry a lot. And then if people have ever heard me talk about knives before, they're going to know, like, I mean, my ultimate is, you know, the HK mini axis, right? Which at one point was a little bit more of a Tonto than it is now. But I like Tonto blades a lot. I hate sharpening them. But yeah, so Warnies and Tontos, those speak to me a lot. I think Tontos, only because I like the way they look. There's nothing practical about them that I enjoy necessarily.
Well, like the Americanized Tonto with the secondary tip, I find those to be useful.
Yeah.
Because you can use now one. I really a good way a Tonto can be, in my opinion, is when because a lot of Tontos are straight backs, and I find that it's a little bit more difficult to use the tip. But if they have a drop pointed Tonto plus the secondary tip, they wind up working out really good.
Yep.
So it does depend, but yeah, I know what you mean. Some of them aren't as useful as like a drop point.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, just to give you an idea on the Tonto thing, I picked this up at a motorcycle show recently. This is not a good knife, but I just had to do it. This is just a Craftsman wrench turned into some Tonto thing, and I was like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can even get it across like how bad like the blade, like the grind is on this thing. But I was like, you know what? Somebody pounded it out. It's fun. Yeah. I'm gonna make a leather sheath for it, and it's a Tonto blade. Like,
oh yeah. Quentin says, "Do you know any Spyderco Smock aftermarket screws? The person I bought this one from somehow stripped the previous screw. I don't, but check with Rip's Garage. Check obviously you can check Flightanium and those places, they usually do, but go on to Etsy. Etsy has like every bit of hardware you can imagine for all Spydercos. And they're usually really good. You can get titanium ones, like they're done well. Like don't be afraid to get them. They're I haven't found any bad ones. So, and I've bought them from Etsy many times.
I love Etsy for small knife making stuff. Like,
yeah,
oh man, you can find
it's crazy how much they have.
Scales and hardware. It's the best. I completely agree.
You can even get like Hinder scales and stuff they're really good. Somebody donated it. I have a full-size XM24 with a Timascus scale that somebody gave me as a present. Shout out to Mr. Amazing. And the scale came from Etsy. Cool. So it's perfect. Like you would think it was made by Hinder. Breaking news. There are 100+ people in here. Make sure you take your sweet ass over and sub to Zach in the Wild's channel. Here is the link. Thank you, Kyle. I do appreciate it. Also, we did link it in the description as well, plus his Instagram. So for anybody that's watching later.
Thanks, guys.
You need
like I said, I was just excited to talk knives and hang out.
He said to read it. He said Squirt is superior to Sack. That's what JD for EDC said to you.
Completely disagree.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I actually have the Squirt right here, the one that we used in that video.
Yep. Nice.
I mean, here's the thing, go watch the video. I understand what people think. I understand what they're saying, but if you don't like the compact, you're wrong.
There you go. Right. You're just wrong. It's that simple. What does it say? Maybe I'll start making OEM open their eyes and see we want a good factory edge. Yeah, I think more people are starting to talk more about the edges and things like that. A lot of companies do decent edges, but some of them, it can be wonky. I think the biggest thing is not necessary. I mean, I know everybody wants a sharp edge. Everybody wants a sharp edge, but I think the most important thing is just that the grind is good. Yeah. Because if when they sharpen it from the factory, they can make it where when you resharpen it, you have to remove a lot of steel to even out the edge if you care that much. A lot of times, like when I have knives come in for sharpening or I sharpen my own, there's sometimes I'll like skip, like I'll sharpen the knife, the entire blade, but there'll be a piece of the edge that in order for me to get that out, I'm going to have to remove like a year's worth of steel.
Right.
So I'm going to leave it and we'll get it on the next sharpening or the one after that. Just let it come out, with time rather than sharpening it all out and you lose, 3 sharpenings worth of steel just to get that little piece out. But it's so common though.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I completely agree. And I think I'm not a sharpening guy at all. Like
mhm.
I mean, I've been on a stone for a long time. I use some work sharp stuff now. But honestly, I had a really bad habit of like, oh, my knife's a little dull. I'm just going to buy a new knife.
I think a lot of people do that actually.
It's
That's
horrible.
pretty common.
But I'm repenting of my ways. So
Yeah.
that, learning how to sharpen and stuff. So what system, like what's your preferred system? Like, what are you, I mean, obviously
Well,
sharpening, right?
I learned how it took me a while, but I learned how to professionally freehand. And
Cool.
so I've
Cool.
been doing that for quite a while, but I do have multiple different systems.
Yeah.
I have the work sharp belt sharpener with
Okay. That one
the
scares me. I'm always
with the
worried. I'm like, I'm
attachment.
just going to ruin my knife right now.
I don't recommend it for pocket knives, but for like machetes, fixed blades, chef knives, things like that, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Lawnmower blades, blah blah blah. Those, big stuff. I think it's amazing. And if you need to like fix things like repair, so that's what I use it for mostly is for
Cool.
repair. Like if I need to grind down the spine because there's a broken tip or something like that. But I have a couple different TS profs, the Cadet Pro.
Cool.
I had the Blitz 360, but I did give it away. I have the Work Sharp Precision. I've done multiple videos on that. That's a great system, especially if you get the the Gritomatic, or you can get the one from Etsy, the stone holder attachment.
Oh,
The
okay.
Work Sharp Precision Sharpener,
Yeah.
their little sharpening system,
Yeah.
their little fixed angle sharpening system. They sell a stone attachment. So all you do is you just take the stones, the 3 stones that are together off the rod, and put the stone holder, a new one, on that rod, and then you can put whatever stones you want in there.
Cool.
So
That's
it
cool.
makes it to where it's super versatile. Makes it to where you can use the Neeves stones, any ceramics, other diamonds. So that's where that sharpening system it winds up becoming like a KME,
That's
basically.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
One thing
anybody who has that, that's what I would definitely recommend. Get that for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get one now. One piece of feedback that I've got on that is people with the base. They're like, yeah, you got to lock the base in, right? And so that's something that I've been like experimenting and putting heavier knives on it and seeing how it moves
Yeah.
around and all of that. But yeah,
So you said that you have, what are you using for sharpening now?
the Pro Adjust, the Precision Adjust Pro, or from Work Sharp.
Okay, so you're using that
Yep.
system I was just talking about. Okay.
Yep. That's why it's like I got to get that. I got to get that now.
Yeah, definitely. I have, just so you know, I do have a couple different videos on all the attachments, like because
Awesome.
I have like 20 attachments for that
Awesome.
system. Like just like the clamp, how the clamp can kind of move a little bit. There's a
Mhm.
little base that a guy's got on Etsy that it just wedges right underneath. You can make it too, so you don't
Cool.
have to buy that, but you just wedge something underneath, and it massively helps your edges
Cool.
because it's difficult not to make it, move a little bit, which can, change your angles and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
being the amateur that I am, I've never like for me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great, this is so much better. But yeah, I've from real people like you who know how to sharpen for reals. I've heard that feedback about it, so that's good to know.
what's up, guys? Great to see Zach over here. Big fan of the videos with Blade HQ and his new YouTube channel.
Thanks, man.
Aaron B, I wanted to ask you if you've ever tried any TwoSuns, but he says he just ordered the TwoSun TS269. Thanks to your video, Jared. No problem. Have you ever tried any TwoSuns?
I haven't yet. I
You
keep hearing
haven't?
them, and I keep hearing I need to get some, like
Yeah.
something from them, but I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah, I should send you a couple. So the thing is that they have, I don't even know, like so many models. Like it's too many, to be honest.
Okay.
Like entirely way too many. Some of them don't even need to exist. It's like that. But they have a bunch of different designers. So they're basically, just making them in the designers, or ordering them or whatever. But
Cool.
they have so many that are really good and then so many that are not. So that's the way it is. But this is the thing though, the ones that are really good, it makes it to where it's difficult to buy a knife from another company because they're so good and so affordable that it makes it to where it's like, I'm getting all of this for like $100, and you're looking at it saying, this is what other companies are charging me $400-500 for. Like, it's crazy how good some of them are. But then there's some of them you get and you're like, what the hell's wrong with this thing? So you do have to get the right ones, but the right ones are really good.
That's great. That's great. I like, so what's like, if I was going to get 1 TwoSuns, which one should I get?
I would say I would go with the TwoSun TS223, the 223.
Oh, are they like ZT? Is it all numbers?
Well, no, not yeah, but some of them have names like that one. I think is called the Monarch or something. I forget, but the 223 is what it's called. But yes, they're basically all numbers. They do have some that have names, like Tepe's designs. His all have names. But yeah, I would go with the 223, the 129, the 267. I can send you any one of those. And then there's probably, in my opinion, probably 12 to 15 that are just you can't go wrong with them. Like, and the prices vary because like if you go on eBay, you can bid on them, but you can just buy them outright from Amazon. So depending on, and White Mountain Knives also sells them. But yeah, just man, the prices though, some of them are a little bit more expensive, but they're never more than what any company would ever charge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
I got you.
Always less than that. Always.
Yeah.
So it always makes you feel good about it. Jared, is the Capara or Griptilian sheep's foot one? What? Jared, is the Capara or Griptilian sheep's foot one? Which one would I choose between the Griptilian and the Capara? Ooh, I really like the Capara, but man, the sheep's foot Benchmade's like, I've always been in love with that thing. So I gotta say the Benchmade Griptilian on this one, but the Capara is, I think more people would pick the Capara, but for me, I love the Benchmade Griptilian with the sheep's foot blade specifically. You really like Benchmades, right? Like you probably got quite a few, right?
Yeah. I really like, if I mean, this might be a bold statement, I might have to step back on it, but if I was like, if there was only one knife company that I could buy from, I think Benchmade makes they make the most of the things that I would do, right? Like, you know, obviously everything they make is not for me, but if I had to choose one knife company, it would probably be Benchmade for that reason. Like, they just have a lot of designs that just work for me. I love the Axis lock. They make some good fixed blade designs. They got good OTF designs. I mean, they're kind of a full bag in my opinion, right? As far as a company goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, Benchmade.
I recently got to try, I think it was the first one I ever tried, of their OTFs. I tried the heck's it called? The one with crew wear with the Tonto blade. Yeah, the shootout. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't had to play with that one yet.
Yeah, it's super lightweight. I'm sure it's a really tough knife, but damn it, it does not feel like it because it's that light. But that's what they were going for, though, right? They were going for something extremely light. So it's kind of like the bug out of OTFs.
Interesting.
It really is. When you get it in hand, you're almost like, what? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, OTFs are usually like pretty, I mean, they've got some substance to them, right?
Yes, so normally.
That's so interesting. I've never heard that because I haven't handled one yet.
Normally they do. That's why it's shocking when you get it in hand.
Yeah.
Like I said, it almost feels too light. I said that in my video. I said that's the one problem for me is that it feels too light. I almost want a little bit more weight, but I have no doubt that it's not super tough or anything. And I've seen videos of people running them over and doing things. So,
well, I mean, that was with the bug out when it first came out, including myself. I was like, dude, there's no way this knife can hold up. Like, there's no way. And dude, I got a bug out, like first generation bug out, and I beat the snot out of that thing. No issues. Like, I'm shocked that thing is taking the abuse I've thrown at it. So yeah, that's cool to know about the shootout too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Vu says, what's up to you? I see Ian says Neeves and Vu next Wednesday. I'm down. I'm always down. Just purchased the KAVISO drop keen Laconico, great knife. That's a really good one. The drop knife, the drop keen, it's Ray Laconico design, and they just redid it where they took all it, because drop is now KAVISO. So KAVISO took over the knives, the knife stuff from drop. So you know how drop has, they do like everything, you know?
Yeah.
So now so they don't do the knives and like gear, like camping gear and stuff anymore. Now KAVISO's doing that. And so the old model still had like the drop logos and stuff. So now the new model for the Keen is super clean. It's just, there's no logos at all. And
Cool.
it's really clean, except for the Ray Laconico on the spine, but it looks really good. And they have all titanium hardware now, completely changed it all. Texas Longhorn says, Zach, have you handled knives being in the industry? What are some brands that fly under the radar?
Ooh, good
what
question.
Are some brands that fly under the radar, since you've handled so many different brands?
I've handled a lot of knives. I'm trying to think brand wise what I would say like flies under the radar that I've handled. I'm trying to think more recently, even stuff that I've handled. I don't have like a huge warehouse to pull from like I used to. But and I'm trying to think, like, I honestly, and I know this isn't necessarily under the radar, but every time I pick up something from like CJRB, I'm always impressed. Yeah. I'm always just like I don't think and I'm sure not every knife for them is a winner, right? Like no company has every knife as a winner. Of course, but every time I like handle a CJRB, I'm always blown away at like how good it is and like what the price point is on it.
Speaking of them, Artisan too, you know, Artisan.
Oh yeah, Artisan. Yeah, exactly.
I just bought because I seen they dropped a titanium frame lock feldspar.
Yeah.
So I hurried up and snagged it. I haven't gotten it yet, but I just ordered it. I couldn't pass it up, and it was crazy. And I don't know what happened, but on the website it said $199. But then when I bought it, it only charged me $150. I was like, cha-ching,
dude. Yeah, right.
I don't know what happened, but
can't complain.
Yeah, no. So yeah, but that's you know, an awesome knife. I mean, that's such a good knife.
Yeah.
But I guess that would still be CJRB. So I guess it'd be a titanium CJRB feldspar.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Artisan, but you know, same company basically.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though they're not technically, they are two different companies that just like use the same company to make their knives. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon with the 2 bones. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. And he says, give me that boink for Zach.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Bro, you were supposed to tell Zach that the squirt is better than the Victorinox. He's still on it, man. He's still on it.
Wait, do you have a horse in this race? Is that what I'm hearing?
I do not. I have no horse. I haven't tried either one of them. I haven't tried them. But I did watch your video though.
Nice.
Hey Zach, I'm sharpening a half serrated gator for my friend. What's the best method for this?
I'm gonna defer to you, man. Like you're the pro here.
I would say, I mean, if you there's a couple different ways to go about it. I have a video that might help you out a little bit, because if your serrations are not like damaged, if they're really not, which usually by the time people sharpen serrations, they usually are. But if they're not damaged too bad, you want to remove steel from the opposite side of the serration. What you're going to do is you remove steel, and then it just basically, you just remove the steel until, you know, all the damage is done, and then knock the burr off from the other side, because you still have the serration there, you know, so you're just basically making a new V. Now, if it's so damaged that you can't, by removing enough steel, you're going to take away the serration, then you're going to need some diamond files. So you can use a Dremel if you want to go really fast, but know what you're doing, because you can mess it up. But diamond files work really good. You can also get one of the tapering ones, like a rat tail diamond rod that, you know, goes from thick to thin. So, you know, you can do the small ones and the big ones with the same rod. But that's what I would do. If you watch my video though, I do go into it a little bit on it.
I don't feel as dumb about sharpening, because that's exactly what I would recommend.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Bang. Oh, thank you, Zach, or Nick. I almost said Zach. Thank you, Nick. This has to be the best duo ever.
Thanks, Nick.
Blades we love on eBay. I get my titanium screws from that guy. Blades we love on eBay. There's a lot of guys on Etsy and eBay that you can you would be surprised what they have.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even think that you could find, you know, this for this knife, and you can find it like on Etsy somewhere.
Yeah, I actually my most recent Etsy purchase I got from Vodix. I think he's based out of Australia, if I remember right. He's got the platypus there. But these are drop bear scales in my
Oh,
cart.
nice.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. I let Ben borrow my drop bear, and I haven't got it back yet. But I'm so stoked to put these on because the drop bear.
Yeah.
I love that knife. I think it's great.
Yeah, I got one. Man,
Yeah.
such a good knife.
It's such a good knife. It's
Yeah.
so like they knocked it out of the park their first try.
Yeah.
With my Carta though, I think it's going to be next level. So yeah, I mean, this was an eBay thing. Like somebody on my channel was like,
so awesome.
This exists. And I'm like, bro, this knife's only been out for like 3 weeks and it's right there, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I even said it though. Like I said, I don't remember if I said it in a live stream or not, but you know, I was at least thinking it that somebody needs to start popping them scales out for because it's so easy to swap the scales and it seems like an easy scale to make. You know, for people that make scales.
Yep. Yeah, Vodix, VOTIX.
Yeah, I'm definitely
do it.
Yeah, I even I liked it so much that I instantly, because I knew they were going to wind up probably selling out when they first dropped. I went and bought some for my Patreon, and you know, because it is a damn good knife. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
that's one that I would say, like, you know, going forward, like, you know, by the end of the year, could possibly wind up being the knife of the year or one of the knives of the year, especially in the price category.
I completely agree with you. Like 100%. Like me and Jamie have been talking about, okay, like we're like trying to think of like, okay, end of year, like what knives we want to talk about for kind of the knives of 2022, you know, all that. And yeah, the drop bear is like, it's right up there for sure.
Thank you, Roaster. I appreciate it. Here's another link for you guys to find Zach's channel. I appreciate the moderators dropping it in the chat. So, because people do continue to come in and out. So I love my Huntsman, but my modified Leatherman sidekick is what finds itself in my pocket. I have the Leatherman free. The free.
Yeah.
The magnet one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, I thought you were saying something.
No, I was just saying I like it. I like it. I don't have I used to have a bunch of multi-tools, but I really haven't had any besides that one. I haven't had any other multi-tools in a few years.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start bumping up to that size of Leatherman, like if you're going to carry like a sidekick or a free or a wave or a surge, honestly, for me, I think that outweighs a Victorinox all day, right? But when you go to the squirt, I'm just like, dude, it's missing too much. It's too compact. It just doesn't get the job done, right? And that's kind of the thing for me is I just don't want to carry a full size multi-tool around all the time. I just want something that I can hit some screws with, I can pry some stuff with, and I got like a you know, second blade on me if I need it, right? Because I do like, I mean, we were just shooting a video today, and I needed to cut some sandpaper for something that we were doing, and we were actually doing some scrimshaw, and I had to cut some sandpaper for it, and I just used my Victorinox because it's my second blade, right? Like who cares?
Right. let that one go dull fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know, like, because you know, before, you know, years ago, like a multi-tool was a must for me, but right now it's just not. I'm sure eventually I'll get to a point to where it will be again, and at that time I'll probably go through a bunch of them. I did think about ordering like 3 or 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them, and try to make a video on like the best one for my opinion. But I would, like, you know, like I was saying, I kind of need to put myself into an environment where I'm actually using it constantly. Because right now, like when I need a tool, I just grab a real tool. You know?
No, and that's something I hear a lot on the multi-tool videos that we do. People are like, well, the tool that's designed for the thing is better than the substitute, right? Or the you know, the amalgamation of them.
Right. But on the go.
Yeah, completely agree. I live on the road so much that like I don't want to travel with the toolbox everywhere I go.
Well, especially when it's something dumb, you know, like say if you need to tighten up a license plate or something, you don't want to have to go pick through your toolbox when you can just go, you know. And when I carried one, I used it all the time, like all the time, and it winds up getting kind of like your knife, where it's like you don't want to leave it behind because when you do, you're gonna need it. Trying to sharpen half serrated gator front. Oh, I already read that one. Okay. I
Yeah.
think I'm backed up. I am backed up. Let me catch up. Oh, Mike Emler's in the house. Shout out to Mike Emler. Go and check his channel out as well. Thank you for the 5 bones. Zach, get off this Scrubs channel and come on mine.
Hey, I'm down to hang out with whoever, man.
Neevesknives tells Zach that the Bronc and the Sidewinder are safe bets from TwoSun. Also, the Ace, if he can find it. Yeah, there are some that are difficult to find, but there's still quite a few great ones that you can't go wrong with.
No, I'm really excited. I'm gonna check those out and check out the models. The 223 I can remember, so I'm definitely gonna check out the 223,
Yep.
the Bronx, the Sidewinder.
I had 2 of them. I'll send you one. I told you.
Well, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll have you send me one and we'll do something
there
together.
You go. There you go.
That'd be awesome.
What company should I go with for scales on the Spyderco Smock, Rips Garage? Oh, you know what? Oh man, what the heck? I can't think of the name now, but obviously, you know, Flytanium and all those, but I'm not sure if they have the scales for that one. But
Carbodize?
Carbodize, Carbodize. He's got some, I'm sure.
Spencer over there he's such a good dude. It's actually this is a Carbodize micarta scale on my Polar. So
no shit.
Yeah. Really, like Carbonite, like Spencer's a great dude over there. Like, support him if you can. Good dude.
Yeah. No, I've sent a lot of people over there actually. Yeah, because he does all different types of materials, from fat carbon fiber to different kinds of micarta, different kinds of G10, layered G10. He does like everything. The only thing I don't think he really does is like titanium, but usually for scales like what he's looking for, a lot of people are looking for fat carbon or micarta.
And the other thing is Carbodize has been doing it forever. Like, he's been doing it for a long time. So that's another thing, is you get like the experience, which is rad as well. So
I never bought so many knives if it wasn't for Zach and Ben.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm sorry.
Bob Smith says the TS-162. I just seen your review from last year. Yes, the 162 is a really, really good one. I think the problem is that finding the titanium one right now is really difficult, but it comes in S90V carbon fiber. It's a bolster lock, but it's
cool.
It's a badass knife. It is big though. It's a larger one.
Okay, yeah.
One thing about TwoSun, they discontinue great designs without much notice. I kind of hate that. Some of the designs I wanted to check out, but they were discontinued nearly 6 months later. Yeah. I think the designer basically just doesn't wind up doing anything else.
So are they kind of like an OE then, that people like, it's still a TwoSun, but they only make them if the designer's ordering them? Is that kind of the model?
I think so. I'm not sure if they're just licensing out the design, or because they only sell through TwoSun. So I don't think, like, I'm sure maybe some companies have, or people have gotten designs made and then just had all the knives sent to them and then they sold them. But for the most part, I've never heard of anything like that. So they're licensing out the design, and you know, they go through so many, like I said, there's so many that it's incredible how many they go through. Like, it starts becoming weird, like, where it's like, how are you guys doing this? Like, this is entirely way too many. It's like literally like 100 different models in a year. Like, crazy.
That's crazy.
So and different versions of it. And Lefty EDC, shout out to Lefty EDC. He says, too bad they have no soul. He's talking about TwoSuns.
Oh yeah,
he always says that. I made a video a while back because he said that, and you know, it killed me. And so I want making a video, and it was his first knife design. And so in the beginning of the video, it showed me watching his video where he talked about TwoSun and said it had no soul. And so, like, the video is showing me watching him, right? And then after he's saying that, me just getting pissed, you know, because now I have his knife design, and now I get to take it out on his design. It was a funny video.
That's awesome.
14C28M versus CTS BD1N. I'm a 14C fan. I don't know about you.
Honestly, I don't know. So I've read Knife Steel Nerds. I enjoy diving into knife steels, but I don't know on those particular ones if I have a preference. What is it about the 14C? Because I actually think I would have skewed BD1N, but what is it about 14C that pulls you in?
14C is extremely tough. One of the toughest steels. It has great stain resistance, and the one thing I really like about it is its ability to take a fine edge. So it takes such a ridiculous sharp edge, and then it has the ability to hold a really fine edge. So, because some steels, they might take a really fine edge, but as soon as you use it, it'll lose that fine edge like that, and you're down to a working edge. It has the ability to hold a good fine edge for quite a bit of time. So that's one reason why I love it. And low angles and stuff like that with edge angles, it can really hold those low angles. And then CTS BD1, I'm just, it's a good steel, good budget steel, but I would pick 14C every day over it.
I like it from a sharpener's perspective, because I just look at it from a user's perspective, right? And I've just had better experience with BD1N holding an edge longer, right? Just under duress and the crappy situations I put my knives through. That's cool to hear that I didn't know that about 14C. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you do have to, because it does obviously with any steel, it's going to depend on who's doing it. Now, CTS BD1, in many cases, a lot of people are getting it from Spyderco.
Right.
Spyderco does a really good job with their heat treat.
Excellent heat treat.
Yeah. So since they're doing such a good job now with 14C, a lot of companies now are using 14C. So some are doing it better than others. But if you're getting it from a good company that's doing it well, it's amazing. But the thing with 14C is that companies don't have to run it as hard as other companies, because it has a large window of like HRC. So like some companies, like, you need it between 59 and 60. Like that's the sweet spot. With 14C, it's between like 55 and 60. So you'll have some companies running it like 55, 56, 56, 57, and then other companies running it 59 to 60, 59 to 61, which obviously are going to wind up doing better. The toughness is going to go down a little bit, but with folders, we're more wanting edge retention than toughness for the most part.
I agree. I agree completely with you. Especially on a folder, like, I just need that thing to stay sharp, so I don't have to think about it for as long as possible.
Right. Yeah. There's going to be some folders where toughness is going to really play a factor, but for majority of them, it's going to be edge retention. So what are a couple hard use knives that you have that are folders?
So let's see, the ones that I beat the snot out. Actually, this T2 Pilar, I beat the crap out of that thing. Like, it's a cheap frame lock. I don't care if I break it. I haven't broke it yet. I don't care if I break it, and it's D2, so it's like, oh, cool, like it gets the job done. But I think, let me look really quick. They don't make this one anymore, and I just forgot the name of it. But that the Benchmade with the two blades that I literally just forgot the name of.
Somebody in the chat will let us know.
Yeah, it's M4 and
oh 3D. Yeah.
And I just literally, Jamie, do you remember the name of this? Jamie's sitting right here. Which one is this? Mediator? No, not Mediator. No. I can't remember.
I'm all the way down. I'm catching up, guys. All right, what do we got? Somebody let us know what knife that is. Somebody knows.
I'm an idiot.
If they don't know in the chat, the Weekender?
Nope, it's not the Weekender. They only made it. They only made it for like a year. Anyways, it's really good. Let me know, because I'm an idiot and I forgot. But so I love this.
I think we should just kick everybody out of here. They don't know. That's the crazy part. They should know.
I should know, because it's Outlast. Benchmade Outlast.
The Outlast?
Outlast. Yep.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
no, you're allowed to forget your own knives. But
exactly.
They better know.
Yeah. So cool knife. Two blades on one axis lock. I like this thing a lot. I beat the heck out of it. I love that it just has a freaking. This is a 3V pry bar with like serrations on it. Like,
badass.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's obviously discontinued.
I beat that one up a lot.
How long has it been discontinued?
Probably like 2 years at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And then let's see. I've got, as far as folders go, dude, honestly, anything like my SR1 Lite, I beat the heck out of this thing as well. Cold steel.
Oh yeah.
Like,
That's a real hard use
this
knife.
thing is just stupid.
Yeah. That's a hard use knife for sure.
So yeah. And then, of course, I've got my Leatherman Surge. I love this thing. And not a knife multi-tool, but like if I'm gonna beat something up, this thing gets beat to death.
That's a real hard use knife right there.
Exactly.
The real deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Formula One with the boink. Thank you for the 2 bones, man. I appreciate it. What do you guys think about Microtech Ultratechs? A good buy or no? Well, one, I'm going to tell you, you should definitely go and watch Zach's video he just did on OTFs. He recently posted it. Great video. Man, your editing is so good. Shout out to Jamie. So what do you think about the Ultratechs?
Yeah, I mean, so I got this is actually UTX 85, right? But like, similar deal, a little bit smaller than the Ultratech. Dude, honestly, Microtech makes a stellar knife. Like I'll never say that Microtech doesn't make a stellar knife. Right. Everybody I've heard has had a good experience with their warranty. Obviously, everybody has different experiences, but everybody I've heard has good experience with warranty when they need to send it in. I like the Ultratech a lot, but if I was going to spend Microtech money, honestly, like I would probably go with this Axial shift.
Yeah.
Or
I've actually heard that from a few people now.
Yeah, and because honestly, the Axial shift feels very Microtech. Like any OTF, right? Any good OTF you're gonna compare it to a Microtech, right?
Of course.
It feels very that way. I just like it a little bit better. It feels just a little bit snappier. It feels like it hits just a little bit harder. And this one I beat the snot out of, and I know that an Ultratech wouldn't take it because I've treated Ultratechs like that and they didn't like it. But honestly, Guardian 035, man. This is actually an Axial. I grabbed the wrong one.
Okay, but
it's actually a part right now from the last video we did. Here's the inside look of a Guardian 035.
There you go.
They're both blue. That's why.
Nice.
But no, Guardian 035 for me. Oh my gosh. If I'm gonna so good. So good.
I guess while we're on OTFs, because this is my thought right now is I think I haven't done it 100% foolproof yet, but I'm thinking maybe an OTF. But my question to you is, if you were going to put a knife through a skull,
okay,
what knife would you pick?
Are you talking what OTF would I pick, or what knife would I pick?
What knife? Let's do it with knife first.
Folder or
fixed? OTF, right through the forehead. What would go through there?
Folder or fixed?
Folder for sure.
Folder. Okay, I got one right here for you. This is the only one. This is the only proper answer, actually.
I got to do this video within 2 weeks. That's what the thing says. The card says.
Formax Scout.
Oh shit! Okay.
This right here, this is a skull cracker right here. I'll tell you right now, Lynn Thompson probably designed this to go through a skull.
Oh, man, I bet you that those have already gotten videos on it.
Exactly. No, for reals though, if I had to answer that morbid question in real life, I'd be like, all right, dude, Formax Scout.
Right.
I mean, it's got
it's gonna hold up.
Well, that's the thing, is not only do you have this beef blade going in, right? But it's got a triad lock in it. So like it's not gonna fail on you, right? Like you could stab this thing through a car door. Yes. It's no problems,
So true. That is the one thing too with some knives, the thought of failure, because if it fails, it's your fingers.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Yeah, if you're like, I mean, if we're knives and self-defense is that's a whole thing, right? It's a whole bag of kittens or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it always gets me when I see somebody in a video stab something into something. I always think, like, please don't fail on them.
Yep.
Because I always think the thing's gonna fail, and then because I've had it happen to me, so I know. So now when I stab things, I always make sure the stab puts the pressure on the stop pin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I stab down, make sure I'm not going back. You know what I mean?
And the funny story is, I think that for me, at least, the fear comes from all the years of carrying slip joints as a kid. I don't think I've ever had like locking folding knife. I've had them fail on me, but not fail on me in a way that they're going to bite me. Right.
Okay.
But like, I think the fear for me comes from all of the stupid slip joints that cut me as a kid trying to stab into things.
Right. Those ones definitely never work for stabbing.
Yep.
I've had a lot of folders fail on me because growing up in construction, I would buy really cheap folders, you
Yeah.
know, because I was gonna drop them off of a roof. They were gonna get stolen.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you how many
Exactly.
Kershaws I've had stolen off the job.
Yep.
Like there was at one point I found this one Kershaw. I don't know the name of it, but I fell in love with it. It was like my favorite knife at the time. So I kept going back and buying it because I would leave it setting somewhere and on the job site it would wind up getting stolen, you know, because different crews and stuff
Oh, yeah.
like that. So it's like every week I was missing my Kershaw. So I have to go buy another one of the exact same model. Then they wound up discontinuing it. And I wound up having to buy a completely different one that was similar. But yeah, so I would have knives that were just shit. And like the last Gerber I really used, I bought because I was working at a custom window place and I was on the way to the job and I just bought it just on a whim and the blade snapped the day I got it and almost tore my hand off. It must have been just a crap heat treat because I didn't hardly do anything. I was prying, but very light duty prying.
Right.
And it just snapped and my hand almost went down into something really dangerous. And I thought, like, damn it.
Yep.
But yeah, so my brain's always going towards failure, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And I mean, my dad had me out pouring concrete when I think I was pouring concrete when I was like 11. That's when I started pouring concrete. And so, yeah, like I had all these experiences as a kid. And again, I was regulated mainly to slip joints because that's just what people gave me.
Yep.
And then when I finally did get a couple, you know, CRKTs, Kershaw, same story, right? Like the same exact thing. And then out on the ranch in the summers, they would ship me out to go work the ranch or the freight yard with my grandpa's. And yeah, like exact same situation. I actually, for a long time on the ranch, I just carried a fixed blade because I was sick and tired of folders,
right?
like breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I carried because I used to have a ton of fixed blades, but I didn't really carry them too much. But then there was a pretty good amount of time where I was carrying a fixed blade because I had a new house and it was a pretty decent sized property where I was working on 2 different houses on one property.
Cool.
And so yeah, just going around the whole property working all day, I just just carried a fixed blade and it was just tougher. I didn't have to worry about it. I could baton it, I could chop with it, do whatever. It wasn't a big one or anything.
Oh yeah,
it was still good.
That's the thing with the cheap fixed blade too, is like you can dig with it if you have to.
Right,
I mean, like especially when you're younger, you're just like, whatever,
Yeah, of course. You're gonna poke it into everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of more about the thing. It's like, I wonder if that thing could take a knife.
Yeah.
Yep,
exactly.
Put it into whatever.
Waiting for Grandpa to come back around with the hay truck. You're like trying to throw it in a post, just whatever. Like
bouncing off and hitting you in the head. Yeah. I still do that. What am I?
Yeah.
Have you because I don't know. Did you go to you went to Blade Show West, right?
Yeah,
went to Blade West. Right? You were Blade Show West. That's where you did that cut test thing. So I know you got to try a lot of knives there. Was there any knives there that that stood out to you that were really good? I know there's a ton of them, but I mean,
there was a lot
that really spoke to you.
As far as models go, I don't think there was anything that I saw, because right now it's not like a big release time for a lot of companies.
Most of them have already come out.
Yeah. So I saw this before Blade West, but we did feature it in a video that we did at Blade West, and that's the Big Banter. That's not because it's Ben's design. Awesome. So first off, I enjoy the Banter a lot. I carry it pretty often. I love the design idea behind the lander, and I said this in my video. It's like a knife that I carry all the time, but I love it, and I love the way that Ben built it. But the Big Banter,
I know,
bro, it's so good.
I got one here, and I can't show it on the channel yet.
But
damn it, it's good.
I love it. And then my card is good. Like it's just good, right?
I've already, to be being honest, like because I've only had it for like a week, but man, I've got it all scratched up.
Yeah,
and, like, dude, I've been using the hell out of it, and it looks like it. But it's just it's a great knife. I love the profile. That profile. The shape and everything just really speaks to me. It looks like a tool.
So that one is not a plug because Ben's my buddy. I also just so everybody knows, I don't really do that. Like if I don't like something, I will just say I don't like it.
Right.
But yeah, the other one that caught my eye, I actually picked one up and I can't even remember the name of it. It's an artisan. I think this, funny enough, coming back to Joe Flowers, this is a Joe Flowers design. and it doesn't have the name on it. But yeah, I picked this. I was talking to my buddy Russell.
Oh, okay.
Over there, and he was showing me this and a like a hatchet or axe that they're doing with Joe Flowers as well. And to be honest, I haven't had a chance to use it, but I love the profile of it.
Yeah, no, that's
if
awesome.
Joe did it, it's probably awesome, but I haven't used it. And then it's got just you're gonna standard fare like nice little Kydex sheath with a
that's the sheath that came with it.
Yeah, yep, that's the sheath that came with it. It's not like a cheapo sheath. It's nice, locks in really good. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the knife because I haven't even had a chance to use it. So I'm not saying like go out and buy this knife, but I am saying from Blade Show West, this caught my eye. I picked one up. I'm excited to get it out and do something with it.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you tried the Giant Mouse Jutland? Did you ever get to try that?
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, it's so beautiful though.
Dude, it's really good.
Yeah.
Like they knocked it out of the park. I'm guessing that the past year, maybe 2 years or something, Giant Mouse has really evolved and like tweaked things and made it to where their QC is really good. They were using Riet for some of their knives. This one's made in Italy, but I have to say, like between the Riet one and the Italian made one, you wouldn't be able to tell that it was from a different OEM. Like it's that
awesome.
good. The detent is so good. This is an unfailable detent. Like that's how clean the break is. But everything about it, the micarta, the way it carries, the liner, the action, it's just amazing. Elmax steel. I'm testing the Elmax steel right now. I don't know how good of a job they did with it. I know on my Ace Grand, it seemed like it was okay.
Yeah.
But either way, though, I got a fresh edge on it and it's razor sharp and it's rolling tough. I've been carrying the hell out of it. But that's one I recommend to anybody who likes a clip point, trailing clip point style blade, because I know some people aren't huge fans of them for EDC. I'm one of those people too. Like, for hunting and things like that, I love it. But for basic EDC, I like a knife that I can use the tip better on. However, this one works good. You can still use it because you don't have to lose a ton of leverage trying to get to the tip.
Okay. You don't have to like overcome that
that point.
Lump. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
So it works great. I see Joe designs hatchet. I thought he only did machetes and bushcraft knives. I think I seen that thing you're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't have any specs on it at all. Like I said, I can't remember the name of the knife because again, I just haven't had a chance to use it, so I haven't had to focus on it yet. But yeah, they had. I'm 99% sure it was a hatchet, not an axe. Because it was a hatchet. And yeah, it was a Joe Flowers design. The same thing. I was like, whoa, Joe did a hatchet? That's wild.
Yeah.
And so, awesome. I'm really excited. It was just a prototype that they were showing at Blade. So obviously I couldn't get one. But yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of that. Because that's how every conversation I've ever had with them was about machetes or about, that type of fixed blades and things like that. So yeah.
I see Bob's asking, which we kind of just talked about Giant Mouse, but what's Zach's experience with Italian made quality control detents / fit and finish?
Yeah, so my experience has been kind of varied, and this is kind of what I hear from a lot of people. Is I feel like, so for example, like MKM, right? I feel like MKM, and they have MKM is interesting because they're using a bunch of different makers in Maniago to make their different knives, right?
Right.
And I feel like sometimes the fit and finish on those, you can almost tell who's making what because. Sometimes it hits real hard, like your Giant Mouse experience that you're having here. I love Giant Mouse's stuff. And I agree, there were some elements where it's like, they probably tightened the quality control on this particular
before, yeah,
exactly, before
they
right?
definitely had some issues,
So honestly, with Italy, I feel like they always make a beautiful knife. I feel like they always do a good job with the construction. In my experience, it's really been kind of in the assembly. It's like that's where I find the issue. Like, if I get an Italian knife and it's a little crunchy or it's a little delayed or it's not great, if I just tune it and lube it, runs like a dream, right? But out of the box, I have noticed that with some Italian knives and some Italian.
I've had a few poor experiences where I've had to literally work on them and modify them and fix them. But like I said, lately though,
exactly.
On point.
I was gonna say 3 or 4 years ago, I was even seeing some really atrocious grinds and stuff. But I haven't seen any of that for at least 3 years. So I think they're stepping it up a lot.
I think they changed OEMs too. Speaking because they obviously started working with Riat, and then I think whoever they're working with in Italy, is doing really good work.
Yep.
But with going back to MKM, you said,
Yeah.
I think like their designs, a lot of the Italian, like you said, the designs are amazing.
Amazing.
Now with MKM, I think sometimes they're overdone. And
Oh,
what
okay.
I mean by that is like they're like I recently got their Terzola knife.
Okay.
I love Bob Terzola's
Oh,
designs,
yeah.
but it was too overdone. So like the lock bar, right? It was almost like polished. So like trying to unlock it, you would slip off of it. The flipper tab, it was crowned and jimped. So it made it to where you slipped off of that too. And it was just like they just did too much. The crowning was everywhere. Like they crowned everything, polished this and did this, and it just made it to where it's like this thing is super slick and it's like it's difficult to unlock, difficult to deploy. And it's like if they would have just not polished it or not crowned it, it'd be perfect. But you know, that was just one example of that. But I mean, I guess I think I have seen a little bit of that from other knives that they've done, but
Yeah.
that one was just the one that stood out the most.
The most. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to handle that one. But yeah, like everything that I've gotten recently, I got a Malga because I was interested in putting a Malga. Actually, I think I have it. Yeah, it's right here. I got a Malga because I was interested. I mean, dude, it's a Swiss Army knife with an M390 blade. Like, how do you not like? How is that not something to check out, right? So I got that. I was digging on that. Obviously, like the Isanzo, I really love the Isanzo. This is actually one that we're doing something with, so I haven't even used it yet. But and then that Micra. But yeah, I agree. Like, and this is the thing with the Italians. Like, you really have to look at what it is that you're getting, and if you have the opportunity, try it out, right?
Yeah.
And then decide, because beautiful knives. I just think that it's kind of just, sometimes they overthink it a little bit, right?
Yeah, the one issue I do know that they do have, like without a shadow of a doubt, is they need to raise their HRC on some of their steels. Like their M390, they are running it entirely way too soft.
That's
Like
what I've heard. Yeah,
it's been tested so much now that it's surprising that they haven't taken notice and done something about it. Because in like every video, if you post a video on an Italian made knife in M390, you will see 20 comments of people shitting on their heat treat, talking about like it's like, you know, Play-Doh. And there's a lot of truth to it because there's been a lot of cut tests, there's been HRC tests, and you know, it's out. So it's like, bump it up, you know, just bump it. That's all they have to do is just raise the HRC. I have no doubt their heat treat protocol is not good. You know, it's just raise the HRC a bit. And you know, I think if they did that, and you know, made sure they said something, the community would be very proud of them for doing that, because it shows that they're doing what the community wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that was the Giant Mouse Jutland Fiend, the Giant Mouse Jutland, badassery all the way around. So the main producers for clips will be Lynch and Mettenboss. I don't know about Mettenboss, but yeah, Lynch clips. Who else does clips?
Honestly, I just go to Lynch.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Again, on Etsy, you can there's a ton of companies making, or a ton of people, I guess you could say. So I got I know at 9 o'clock we're gonna do story time. So I wanted to talk or just ask you like some goofy, weird questions. I'm gonna read this comment really quick. I've been in contact with a few Italian OEMs, and Fox was the only company willing to listen and said they would do their own tests with M390 HRC. I don't know what that means. Do your own tests. Obviously, they should do their own tests. They should already be doing that in the first place. So I like, if a company said that to me, that would say to me that, okay, well, you're not doing it in-house. Somebody's doing your steel, right? Which is common. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily uncommon. Like if they're using, for example, if they're using like Bowler, right? Like they're importing that, right? Like
right. So, but yeah, they definitely should be doing their own tests. But I'm guessing whoever they're getting it from, they're telling them what to run it at.
Yeah,
you know, because most companies will run it whatever you want it at, and they usually have a cap. You know, like we'll go
like,
up
this
to 63 or something.
Solvent at a certain level, right?
Right. Yeah. Because I know that was an argument like with one other company. I'm not saying any names, but saying that when the company that they used would go up that high. So it was like, you're just not telling them. So, but I want to ask like some weird questions, like zombie apocalypse questions.
Okay.
Let's get into it. So let your imagination roll.
Great.
So in a zombie apocalypse where they are kind of fast, right?
Okay.
They're not super fast.
So like 28 days later,
they're definitely not slow. Okay. Let's just say that they're definitely not slow. You can outrun them, but they're definitely not slow. So they're not the zombies where you want to be, right? Because I think every guy kind of dreams of a zombie apocalypse where they're fucking so slow and you can just go to it.
Just moving targets. You can just walk around them like
right. What knife would you definitely have on you?
Oh, I mean, there's no question. Like, I got it right here. Like, if I only could have one knife to like, for that situation. Also, I also have the best zombie apocalypse hideout scenario. So if you want to know,
I gotta hear.
Talk about that after.
Yeah, I gotta hear this,
dude. Tracker, man, tracker all the way.
Oh man, hell yeah,
tracker all the way. Like,
fuck yeah, that's
great. Like if one knife, it's like, okay, cool. Definitely could be used as a weapon if you have to get in close range or if you have to slow something down or whatever, right? But also, like, I could pry open doors. I could cut into things. I could
versatile.
Yeah, like whatever I need. This thing's a pry bar. Like I can do whatever I want with it. Yeah, Cops tracker all day.
Yeah, that thing's a beast. How long is that? How long is that blade on that?
Oh, what is? Because they have different sizes, right? Oh man, I don't have a. I usually have
at least 6 inches, right?
No, I like. I mean, what like we're guys? What is that? Like 12 inches? It's like, like 6, 7.5, something like that. It's got to be
okay. Perfect.
Yeah. No, this thing. Well, and speaking of throwing knives, right? Like obviously, like probably every other dude out there, I watched The Hunted when I was younger.
Yeah.
It was the most awesome thing ever. So when I bought this knife, when I finally bought one, I was like, I got to throw this in a tree. I have to throw it in a tree.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't want to mess it up. So I go and I'm like, I'm doing it. So I threw it into a tree, stuck the first time. I was like, okay, cool. I love this knife.
No, it's heavy. It's heavy on the front.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
it'll stick every time. It's awesome.
So what's your shelter story?
Oh yeah, shelter story. Okay, here's the thing. Windmills. Like for electricity. Like they're hollow inside. You can go to the top of them. They generate electricity, and chances are in a zombie apocalypse they're still going to be moving, right? Like after the thing, you have ultimate vision, 360 pan vision.
It's the one thing that will still be moving.
Exactly. Yeah. You have 360 pan vision because I think in a zombie apocalypse, your concern really, if you're still alive and you're in mode where you can actually like bug out and survive, your concern is actually marauders. Your concern is other humans, not the zombies.
For sure.
So like you're in a very defensible, like if there's only a couple of you, there's only one of you, you're in a very defensible position, right? You can store a ton of supplies because you have this huge enclosed thing that you can store supplies.
Big old tower.
Yeah, you have a tower that you can store supplies in. You can see forever. And they're usually in like windy places, which usually are canyons or whatever. So you're probably close to a water source, right? And like, I'm just saying, man, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate place right there.
I mean, aside from the electric part, what's it called? With the lights next to for the ships.
Like a lighthouse.
Lighthouse, lighthouse.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the same thing, except for no power. But.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I never thought about that. But yeah, it's definitely, you definitely have to worry about humans the most. That's going to be your biggest threat is other humans.
Yeah, if you've made it
especially after a week, you know.
If you've made it past not being a zombie or eaten by a zombie, now you have to worry about supplies, right? You have to worry about competing for, surviving.
For everything. You would definitely want to find or have a team of people that you could rely on and stick with them and, figure out a spot and protect it with everything you got. And it would be definitely one of those situations, that show, they really depicted it perfectly because that's the way it was with all the different people. They were always basically under attack or fighting other people's tribes, I guess you could say. But that's how it would be, because even now, look at how people are in a civilized society.
Exactly.
So imagine without.
Exactly.
If you have a river close by, one could build a water mill for electricity. There you
True.
go.
True. Yeah. And you could pipe that up to your tower. And if you're talking about groups, I don't know exactly what those look like inside, but there always is more than one next to each other.
Yeah.
So you could easily have a little colony that all live up in the windmills.
Yeah, there's usually a line of them. Yeah.
Yep.
There's usually quite a few.
Yep.
He says, depending on your budget, look at Tops Knives as well as Bob Smith.
Yeah. Tops Knives. Earlier, I was talking about Benchmade, how they kind of have like if it was one knife company for me, they have a selection of things in all the categories that I could get behind, right? But man, almost everything Tops makes, I love. Like
they have
they're so good.
They have a lot of designs. I never even knew how many they had, and I didn't personally see them at Blade Show, but I seen a video of them at Blade Show, and they had all their knives around a table, and there were so many. I was like,
so
what?
Many.
I didn't even know they made this many knives. They have so many.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally like any knife that you could have wanted as a kid, right? But it's actually good, right? Like this Tops Bob Tracker, right? Like, or not, this isn't a Bob. This is I have a Bob as well, but like the Tops Tracker, right? Like that thing is awesome. It's like everything that you would want, everything that's cool, everything that's rad, but it's practical. Like it's like, oh no, this actually does the thing that you think it will do, right?
Yeah. Right. The death of the internal combustion engine sucks for the apocalypse. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Half Face Knives makes some sweet tactical knives. Half Face. I don't know if I've heard, or I can't think of them.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of them. That's awesome. And that's something I love about the knife world is like when I meet people like at like the different shows or just out on the street or whatever, I'm always learning about something new. And it's like, dude, I have been like entrenched in knives for years, and I still am learning about
just scratching the surface
all the time. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
No, I agree. I have people that send me messages, and sometimes they'll show me a knife, and it's like, I don't even know what company this is. I've never even heard of these guys, and I'm thinking like I'm supposed to be the knife guy here,
exactly.
You know, and you guys are showing me. Best EDC knife from Benchmade. What's your opinion on the best EDC knife?
It's such a boring answer, but it's so proven. It's the bug out. Like I'm just gonna answer. Like that's the thing is like from Benchmade. Like I think it's the regular size. Now I'm personally not a fan of the mini. I think they went a little too small. But yeah, the bug out, man. I think it's just proven. Like you look at the sales, you look at the use case scenarios, you look at how many people carry them. Like
and you can modify it to however you want.
Yeah, and you can modify the heck out of it. I saw, man, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Instagram had like it was like this like black titanium scales with like a micarta insert, and I was like, oh bro, like I saved it on Instagram so I can go back and buy them because I'm like, that is the perfect bug out. But yeah, I think bug out for Benchmade, I think it's bug out all day.
I think the only issue with bug out right now is that their price just went up again. And it's just like, I mean, that's the way it's going to be with everything. So,
well, you know, you want to talk about prices. Like I can tell you right now, like having seen what all the prices were and having worked in it for a long time and seeing where they're at now.
Yeah.
I don't know this for a fact. This is just this is my professional estimation. Is 2023, all knives, we're going to see a bump up. I think that a lot of the retailers have been holding the dam back as much as they could.
Yeah.
And I think it's just come 2023, knife prices are going up. So if you have something, get it now.
There's nothing. They're gonna, like you said, they've been holding back because the prices for them have changed.
Yep. And I think there's been the
everything.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just to say that if the prices change for them, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, and and that's why I say I think that the retailers have all kind of been like kind of bearing the burden, right? Like I said, holding it back with the hope that prices would go down, but that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. I mean, we can hope for it, but yeah, most likely a lot of them are going to be going up. So yeah, like you said, get them now. Right.
Yeah. Well, and also like, just to remember, and I've got no horse in the race of knife retailing right now. But I mean, for any of these retailers, when it does go up, don't blame the retailer. Because like I said, I really think that they've just been like eating it for the last 2 years.
Right. Alice says, her boyfriend got a Demco throwing axe today. I didn't even know he had throwing axes.
That's
It was
awesome.
originally made in 2014. He is so happy. I bet he is.
That's
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So between hard use and super slicey for a knife, for an EDC knife, which one, or I guess, you know, there always is the right in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But which one would be more up your alley? Would you go for something that has more of a robust grind, something you're not going to have to worry about chipping or breaking? Or are you going for the more slicier because you want that longer lasting edge retention with no fear of chipping because you're not really beating it on anything? You're more just wanting cutting performance.
Yeah, well, I would like to answer the latter. I would love to say cutting performance because, again, I don't like having to mess with tune my knives all the time.
Right.
But I already know, like, the reality of it is like, I need something more robust all day.
Yeah. You hear about that from a lot of people. There are just people like, you know, especially people doing a lot more blue collar. They need a little bit of thickness behind the edge. Like, it's not that there are some companies just being outrageous with it. And it's like, why is this thick? This is not supposed to be a pry bar, it's supposed to be a cutting tool.
Exactly.
But I think the balance, like the happy spot for robust and still slicey, because of the edge angles you can usually put on it, is 20 thousandths. 20 thousandths behind the edge, because you can lower back the angle at like 15 degrees per side with your edge angle, and it's going to be a big bevel, but it's going to have stability because it's not going to be fragile because it's 20 thousandths. But for like a super slicer, you're talking about 10 thousandths, which is like half of that. So yeah, it's going to be much more fragile, but depending on the steel and the heat treat, I've seen some that do very well. Like I have some that are like 15 thousandths behind the edge that hold up extremely well, just because the heat treat's good and, you know, it's a good steel. But everybody's experienced that where they dropped it and broke a tip or something like that, because, you know, like say Spydercos, right? Spydercos, like that's one of the most common things on them.
Yeah, because they're so slicey and they do such an incredible. I think they do.
And those are actually 20 thousandths behind the edge too.
Yeah, exactly.
The tapering tip, though. It's that tip. That tip goes, it just narrows down, so it's an easy spot to break, I guess. Hard use super slicey, I would go for the Spyderco Police in K390. I love K390.
Oh yeah, great steel.
Yeah. Oh man, such a good steel. EDC Gear and Pocket Knife says Buck has the best heat treat still to this day. They do have a good heat treat. Their Boss heat treat is really good. They do have a good heat treat.
And I would
argue Spyderco is the best, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that's it. Is I think that when we're talking about like 420, right, which is that's kind of Buck's main staple. I think that they do. I think that they get every single ounce out of that 420 possible.
Yes,
right.
I agree.
But I think that's where they live, right? That's their 420, and I agree. I love Buck's heat treat in their 420. But if we're talking about like heat treat across the spectrum, Spyderco does a pretty amazing job if we're talking to bigger companies, right?
And they have 1,000 different steels.
Exactly. So, that they're doing with, and that's, dude, when you sit down and talk with Sal Glesser, like the dude is just like a wealth, like he's just like this incredible wealth of knowledge. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they try to get the most out of their steels as well. Spyderco, because they have so many different steels they do. And unlike, say, some companies where they might have 3 or 4 different steels, but they run them all like the same HRC, which doesn't even make sense for,
makes no
steels,
sense.
right? They're all different.
Exactly.
Spyderco's does change them. So whatever the optimal range is, they do that. And I love that about them. And I sharpen so much, so I really get to feel, you know, the differences between one steel and theirs, you know, or the same steel, you know, between heat treats.
Two.
But yeah, Buck though, it's no joke when people make that statement that, oh, Buck's 420 HC would outcut that, you know, or whatever. In many cases, they're right. Because they get everything out of that. They do such a good job with that steel.
Yeah, they do.
Spyderco has a wider range of steels. They run great and are close to mastering. Yeah, that's the thing, is they do have so many. They have so many. No other company does as many steels as them.
No,
At least I can't think of one.
I really think Spyderco is so interesting to me. Well, I mean, not only because of their like historic space in the folding knife category, right? Like putting pocket clips on knives, et cetera, but also like I really believe that so many of their designs are made to be used, right?
Yes.
And like they're thinking about like this design is for this thing, that to do this work or this type of thing. And I love that about Spyderco. Again, I said earlier, like most Spyderco designs are not for me, but that's also probably because I'm not working in the thing that they made the knife for, that it makes sense for me to want to use it, right? I like, use philosophy, heat treat, and then like you can weigh in here because you know way more about this than I do. But from what I've seen, right, it seems like they're also very particular about how they put their edges and what type of edges they put on what type of blades and what type of knives, which I've always respected about Spyderco as well.
Yeah, their edge angles, I would say they do the best edge angles out of any company. Like they're the only, I can't think of another one that does 15 degrees per side on their edges, but they do a micro. I think it's like 15 degrees per side with like a 22 degree micro bevel, but it makes it where their factory edges actually last a lot longer than most companies, you know, as long as you're not axing with it or anything.
Right.
Oh, Justin's in here. Shout out to OCD for EDC. He says, what's up, Jared and Zach? Definitely go and subscribe to his channel as well. Bob Smith says, what's the best geometry for piercing a car door? I would say that the cold steel you brought up, what was it, the SR
the Formax or the real, this one I think would be great for piercing because of the way
Tonto.
Because of the way, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but yeah, you can see the end, the front of that Tonto, like that is just like pierce sharpness and then immediately just open.
And that would actually go through a car door.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, when we're, you know, like kind of drooling over Spyderco, Lynn Thompson's also puts quite a bit of like thought, or did put, cold steel's a different beast now, right? But Lynn Thompson did put quite a bit of thought into like some of the use cases in his things. And I don't think that cold steel was ever in the same realm as Spyderco with like the heat treating and all the other things, right? But when we're talking about use case scenarios and how or why you would use something, Lynn put a lot of thought into these designs. So he probably designed this to like pierce a car door.
No, I've always been impressed by what they do. I've never, like, even if the knife's not for me, I respect it.
Well, and I think growing up, they always felt like mall ninja knives, right? And here's the thing: is like, and this is not a bad statement against Lynn Thompson or what Cold Steel was. I don't know what Cold Steel is doing currently, so I can't talk on them right now. But like on what they're doing now. But
right.
When we're talking about Cold Steel, like they kind of are mall ninja knives. But again, it's like I talked about with the tracker, like. It's this thing that you go to the mall to buy as a kid to be tough, or like, you know, I can.
But that actually works, though.
But exactly. But it's actually the thing that you thought you were buying, right? And so it's like, wait, this is actually great, right? Like,
that's the big difference, because the other stuff you go to use and it's just going to break.
Yeah, exactly.
You can actually do your mall ninja, you know, behaviors with it.
Exactly. Like, oh, you want to stab through a car door? Literally, this Cold Steel will stab through a car door.
Right. If you need to hammer it too.
Yep.
OCD, thank you for the 10 bones.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Here is a link to his channel right here, so you guys can go and follow it. Here's another one. Thank you, Fiend. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it, guys. So we're about to get to story time, but right before we do that, I do want to ask you just a couple fast questions. I seen on your Instagram, you had like an astronaut helmet or something.
Yeah.
Were you in like the desert with an astronaut helmet?
Oh, yeah.
First of all, where'd you get an astronaut helmet? How does one get an astronaut helmet? And what's the story?
Okay, cool. So the astronaut helmet. So I have this tradition where I take my.
Hey, Justin says he passed along the $10 he won from you at Blade Show.
Yeah, yeah, dude, he aced the cut test.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. We knew that was gonna happen.
Oh, though. Yeah. But no,
go ahead.
So I have this tradition where I take my wife on a date every fall. We go to Spirit Halloween. That's just like, we don't have a lot of traditions, but that is one tradition that is forever. I love Halloween, is my favorite of everything, right?
Is it?
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So whenever we go, I just love buying masks. It's just like I will buy one mask every year. Like it's just what I do.
Okay.
Right. And then I always buy like Jamie something like Rick and Morty. Like that's part of the tradition.
All right.
So yeah, I went to it was 2 years ago, Spirit Halloween. You know, with all the delays in shipping and blah blah blah. There wasn't like that much rad stuff. You could tell they like were like scraping the bottom of the warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but they did have like astronaut costumes. And they had this astronaut helmet, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it's like a reflective front. It like fit with my glasses on because that's like a huge thing with masks and like blah blah whatever.
Right, of course,
and I was like, "Yeah, it's like this thing's so sick." And every year, it's like, "Well, what are you gonna do with that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm gonna put it on the wall and use it when I want." So sure enough, I had a video opportunity to use it. So I used it in Ben's Lander video because I obviously I took my 1979 GMC van to space. And I was in zero G, so I had to have the helmet, right?
Of
course, standard knife review stuff.
Standard procedure, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I did a video on kind of just like making the most of time, right? So I actually went to college and I graduated with a double major in philosophy and sociology. And I read Plato's Republic when I was 12, and I just really love philosophy. I always have. And so I was like, I want to do something on the channel that just is like, go out and get it, like get your life, like make it happen. So the video is kind of about like wake up super early, get the road, like you're kind of in a different world, you're in a different place. And so I use the helmet as kind of this prop, right, to talk about these different places. So yeah, that's where that came from.
So what's your favorite mask then in your collection?
Oh man. Okay. So actually,
how many do you have now?
Oh dude, I probably have, because sometimes I buy more than one. I probably have like 14. I probably have like 14 masks.
So but you got a favorite?
Yeah, my favorite one is actually the first one I ever bought. And it was years ago, like broke college student, right? And this is when the tradition started. Went to Spirit Halloween, and I had this. I had a tall bike. I had upside down bike, tall bike, whatever. So basically, you weld two bikes together, and then you ride on the top bike. So it's two bikes tall, right? And I was running this nonprofit bike shop that I had started, and we were doing a Halloween ride. So I needed a mask, right? I needed something, right? Yeah. So I went and I bought, it's a monkey mask, and it goes over your head, and I put little holes in the ears so my glasses will go on. Oh my gosh. And it looks so good. Like you look
so like, wait, so you had the glasses over the mask or
under the so the glasses go over the mask.
Right.
Yeah. So the monkey's wearing, oh, it's so good. And then I took my kid trick-or-treating that year, and I just wore I've got like a punk vest, like a motorcycle vest, right? I just wore that and the mask and a bat over my shoulder. And I literally, like, we had parents being like, do you know him? Is that your dad? It was really funny. So that's my favorite mask.
That is hilarious. So you went to that motorcycle rally.
To Sturgis. Yeah,
Sturgis. Yeah. I bet that was a good time, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I've never been, but I used to watch them when I was a kid. They used to I used to watch them. I grew up around some bikers and stuff. So cool. But yeah, I can only imagine now. How was it?
Yeah, it was a blast. It was we went there, we were actually shooting some stuff for Harley Davidson, me and Jamie, for our 9-to-5 that we used to have.
How'd you get that gig?
So we had a buddy that he started a couple different brands. So he started an off-road brand called Salty Gears Off-Road. He started a performance brand out at the shop out at the racetrack in Salt Lake, and they just do like Audis, Porsches, Lamborghinis. Like there's like, on any given day we could be like playing around with like $1 million Ferrari. You know what I mean? Like really? It was wild, dude. It was wild.
Awesome.
And then we bought dealership, motorcycle dealership in Idaho Falls, Harley Davidson dealership. And so so we just were shooting content for all those things and making doing business stuff for all those different brands. And so we ended up out in Sturgis shooting stuff for them. But
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that sounds like such a good time.
So
last question, then we'll go to the story time. What's the craziest knife in your collection?
Craziest knife. Ooh, I mean, the problem is my philosophy brain kicks on, and it's like, okay, how do we define crazy?
Yeah. Define it however you feel.
Yeah. So, man, I'm really bad at one answers. Here, actually, I've got.
I am too.
Let's see here. I got to find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. I've got that. And then I think this one here. Okay, so sorry, I'm bad at one answer. So you're gonna get two answers. So
Kyle wants to know if you wore assless chaps at Sturgis.
You know, the funny thing is people say this a lot. If you think about it, though, all chaps are assless.
Yeah,
Literally, the definition of a chap is there's no butt in it. Yeah, exactly. Right. But no, I don't wear leathers when I ride. I'll wear a leather jacket and that's it. So yeah, so craziest knife. I'm gonna tie it. There's a tie. So there's the paratrooper, the benchmark paratrooper. This thing's just really weird. Like the way it folds and opens is really weird.
I'm just blowing you up so people.
Oh, okay, cool. I was like, oh, did I lose you? Yeah. So like, it's just a weird knife the way that it opens. Kind of fun, kind of cool, really cheap. I think this thing's like 15, 20 bucks. So benchmark paratrooper, that is weird. And then me and Jamie recently just did a video on gas station knives and kind of like our affinity for them and how we all fell in love with knives and blah, blah, blah.
It usually starts there.
What's that?
It usually starts there.
Yeah, it usually starts there, right? And I found this thing, which, you know, the blade is hilarious, right? Yeah, it's just, and then the best part is it's a liner lock, right? So how do you close it? So you literally have to like put your finger here and then and then go through the knucks to like fully close it.
Of course you do.
But I saw this and I was like, I have to have it. So this was in our video. So those are probably my two craziest knives in the collection.
All right, now we are to story time. You have a story for us, Zach.
So
the floor is yours.
You told me you're like, okay, so we do story time. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know, like I think. And so like, I didn't know if I should go with like a dramatic story, a sad story, a happy, I didn't know. So I'll just pick like,
better.
Yeah. So I'll just pick, I picked a story that's kind of a big story that I've mentioned from time to time. So if you've watched any of my stuff, you may have heard me mention this, but I've never told the full story. So I'll tell it all here because it's kind of a cool story. I'll try to keep it short. I don't want to like.
No, take your time with it, please. Go ahead.
So before we jumped on, I was telling Jared that I had spent some time building gun ranges all around the United States, and it was a rad job. So I would just literally like I lived all over. Like the first job was in Ohio, and we lived in Akron, Ohio, and we lived like in an Amish community. We would commute in and build a gun range, and so I'd live in these places for like 3 to 4 months at a time, or we'd go do repairs. We'd be there for like a week or two. But it was rad. So I got to live all over the United States, travel all over, like just thrived in that environment. It's like totally my thing. Anyways, so I was on a job and I was, the job was in New Jersey, if I remember right. It was actually the last job I did with this company. I'm pretty sure we were in New Jersey. And because I went to Wildwood Beach. We were in New Jersey. Yeah, let's say we were in New Jersey. We were in New Jersey. And I had taken my motorcycle out to the job. And it's a 1981 CX500. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's a tiny bike to be on the highway. You're correct. But this kind of is like the whole arc of the story.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was actually a buddy of mine who, I don't want to get heavy, but this is just the story. It was a buddy of mine who was like a brother, and he took his own life. And I found him. He went up the mountain. Yeah, did this thing. And I went up the mountain. I got him. I brought him back down.
Yeah.
And
then, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It was years ago. Love the guy. But it is actually important to the story. So we're not using it just for dramatic effect.
I get it.
Anyways, so me and him had actually planned a cross-country road trip on motorcycles before that event. And obviously wasn't going to happen. So his dad called me a week or two after all the services and everything were over. And he brought me down to the garage and he showed me this bike that Andrew had bought. And it was this CX500. And
his name was Andrew?
Yeah, his name was Andrew. Yep.
You know, not to cut you off, but
no, fine.
I lost my brother, my best friend, similar way, kind of, and not similar. He didn't take his own life, but anyways, he died, and I was trying to revive him and everything. But his name was Andrew, though. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's a tough thing. Yeah,
life.
Yeah, it's life. And so his dad calls me up and he gives me this 1981 CX500, and it's not in running order. Nothing's good. It's all busted up, right? Andrew bought it for way cheap from some old guy, right? Mm-hmm. So I take the bike, rebuild it, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I've got this job out in New Jersey. I'm going on the road trip. Like, I'm doing this. Like, me and Andrew planned this. He's coming with me one way or another, right?
Oh yeah.
And so get out to the job, do the job. It was awesome. Like blew up and down the East Coast. Never really spent a lot of time out there. So it was really cool. I'm on his bike, right? Like it's like he's with me doing all this cool stuff. And then I get ready to come home. Well, the next job was in Miami. Bummer I didn't get to go to that one. But the next job was in Miami. And so I had to get home fast. So I had to get from New Jersey to Utah in like 3 days is like what I had to do.
Right.
The first day I bust out like 1,000 miles and I just camp on the side of the road somewhere outside of Iowa. Right.
Okay. When you camp, how are you camping?
Oh, literally like
just
in the dirt,
right
in the dirt with the tarp next to my bike. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that's, and even now
you have a tarp though. You have a tarp.
Yeah. Cause it rain, right? So you got to have a tarp, right?
Gotcha.
So I get like to Iowa, outside of Iowa or wherever, right? I can't remember exactly where. And then the next day I'm blowing through and I get through, actually it might've been I think it was in Iowa is where anyways, I'm riding and my buddy was a big fan of Star Trek. Like he was a proper Trekkie, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm riding and I remember the movie Fanboys is the movie I remember. And in that movie, the Star Wars fans go to the birthplace of Captain Kirk and they like get in a fight with the Trekkies over Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a real place though. Like the birthplace, there was this in the 60s and 70s when the show was really big, the original Star Trek show. This town was like, this is the future birthplace of Captain Kirk, which is kind of fun, right?
Right.
And so I remember this riding through, I think it was riding through Iowa, riding through this like rural corn territory. So I jump on the phone real quick. I look it up and I'm like literally at the road to make the turn to go to Star Trek heaven, right? And I'm like, dude, this is so rad. Like, so I go for Andrew, right? So I go through the museum. I go to like the future birthplace of Captain Kirk. They don't have a statue there because they can't afford the rights for William Shatner's likeness. But
but it's the place though,
dude. It's the place, right? It was so cool, So blah blah blah. I get going, and then I get I start blowing through like the Dakotas and through Wyoming, and I'm in the Dakotas actually, South Dakota, and I stop at this gas station, and like when you're on the road enough, you just get a sixth sense about things. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just like looked at the horizon, and I was like I didn't have a spare gas tank on with this thing, and I was like, I should get a spare gas tank. So I get a spare gas tank, fill it up to a gallon, and blah, go camp one more night, wake up in the morning, didn't run out of gas or anything, hit Mount Rushmore, and then I'm coming back from Mount Rushmore and I full on run out of gas. Never ran out of gas on the bike. So I'm like going, blow through the full tank, go to reserve, blow through the reserve tank, put the gallon and a half in, blow through that, and I'm still not in town yet. Yeah. Wow. So end up hitchhiking.
Still haven't seen a gas station.
Yeah, I hadn't seen a gas station, and it was probably the route I was on, right? I'm sure there were gas stations. I just
probably went right around it.
Yeah, like I just went right past them without seeing them. So anyways, out of gas, I look real rough, man. I've been on the road, my beard's down to here. You know what I mean? Like beard's down to here, it's all braided, right? So it doesn't.
You look like the guy nobody wants to stop
exactly. I've got my vest on, like I'm all sunburnt, like the whole thing, right? So I take the vest off to look a little more approachable and hitchhike into town. Some guy picks me up. We have a good conversation, whatever. Get gas. I was only like 20 miles from town. I could have walked in, but like obviously it was a long walk.
That's still 20 miles.
It's a minute, And so then I'm in town and I've got the gas can. I've got my vest back on, looking rough and all, road. I haven't taken a shower in like 3 days, right?
Right.
And then a cop pulls up behind me. And I'm like, oh gosh, like, oh, here we go. Cause I had my thumb out and I was like, oh, maybe it's illegal to hitchhike here. I look like a vagrant.
How do you know?
Yeah. So it turns out it's just straight out of a movie, man. Like this guy could have been a character in like Walker, Texas Ranger, right? He's like this old sheriff who like literally 6-shooter on his hip. He's got a bulldog in the back. That's his like companion. He drives
an actual bulldog.
Yes. He tells me he's been divorced 3 times. He has no money because he has to pay all of his wives. Like, dude, just out of a movie.
All of his wives.
Yeah.
All of them.
Straight out of a movie, man. Greatest guy ever. I have a bad memory with names. I have it in a journal though. I keep a journal, and I have it in my journal name. But I can't remember his name. Anyways, so we talked the whole way back. He's like, "Oh yeah, I saw your bike outside of town. I'll give you a ride." It's super cool guy, right? And with this bulldog, the whole thing, man. I was like, "This is awesome." Yeah. So top the bike off, get heading. And I really want to get home before I have to leave for the next job, right? So it's getting dark. I'm in Wyoming at this point, and it's like at this it's like midnight, right? Don't ever ride your bike at night, kids. Bad idea, right? But I was like, dude, I just got to get to Rawlins, Wyoming, and I'll camp out there, and I'll get a meal, and I can take off in the morning. I'll be back to Salt Lake quick, right? Yeah. So I'm pushing. Well, come around a corner, and I hit a deer at 65 miles an hour, basically.
What?
Yeah. So hit it
Wow.
on this bike, right? Like, so hit a deer at 65 miles an hour. And I remember everything. So I remember, to me, it looked like the deer had like risen out of the asphalt. Like it looked like
Just appeared?
yeah, still in my head.
Oh,
That's how
because of the speed. Because of the speed.
yeah,
Right.
that's how I
Right. I
see it.
get
I
you.
still see it that way in my head, right?
I got you. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, so I hit the deer at 65, right? I keep it up just long enough to think maybe I can keep it up because the fender was metal, so the deer stuck to the front of the bike. It's the only reason it didn't kill me because it didn't roll over me, right?
So you were carrying them.
Yeah, I was carrying it. Yeah, and
Okay.
then couldn't keep up with it. Go down on the left side. I blacked out when I hit the concrete, or asphalt. But I wake up skidding across the asphalt, and then
so it was just like a flash.
Yeah,
and then
like I black out when I hit, and then I wake up and I'm still like moving on the asphalt.
Yeah,
and I hit the bike, right? So hit the bike, and I'm laying there, and like I'm just okay, I'm dead, right? Literally, that's what's in my head.
Right. Of course.
So I do a little review of the day, and I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't a jerk today. That's got to count for something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. At least I was a good guy today.
Today was a good day, right?
Yeah.
Like I reviewed the day. I'm like, you know what? Today was a good day. Like, if this is it,
if today's the day, it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know it's an okay day.
Yeah.
So I end up not dying. So I decided to try to get up. And when I get up, I realized like every bone on the left side of my body's broken. I didn't know that at the time.
Nobody's around, so
nobody's around.
Don't know when a car's coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I hadn't seen a car all night. So I try to pick the bike up. And then that's when I realized, like, okay, all my ribs are broken, my clavicle's broken, my shoulder, I have no leverage, right? I can't, literally physically impossible to pick the bike up.
Of course.
So then luckily I'd put on all my clothes because it was freezing cold. So I don't have any like road rash that I could tell. And I had a sarong on. So I pull the sarong out and I just start waving it, hoping that there's going to be a car, and a car comes around the corner.
Nice.
They call the ambulance. I was 15 minutes outside of town. Ambulance comes. Ambulance picks me up, scrape me off the road, and they asked me. They're like, hey, the guy tells me, he's like, hey, I've been doing this for 15 years, and he's like, look, the reality is I've never seen a motorcycle versus deer like this where the person doesn't die. He's like, I'm just being honest with you. You're probably internally bleeding. You're probably going to bleed out. And he's like, if you have somebody to call, you need to make that call now.
Now,
right? Yeah. And so hands me the phone, call the wife, and I tell her, I says, hey, I was in a little motorcycle accident. Everything's okay. I love you. I'll see you later.
Band-Aid.
Yep. Hang it up. And the guy looks at me and I'm like, what's she going to do, man? She's in Salt Lake. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason. Like, if I die, I die. And that's what it is. She knows I love her. You know what I mean? Like,
I would have done the exact same thing.
So obviously I didn't die, which was great. And my dad comes and sees me in the hospital. They get me to Salt Lake, blah, blah, blah. Don't die. All the bones broken. My dad comes and sees me in the hospital. And I ask him, I says, Dad, could you go get the head of that deer that I hit? And
I need it.
And he says,
need that fucking head.
He's like, I already got an axe in the back, dude. So he was already planning on it.
Way to go, Dad.
I've got the skull of the deer. And so
way to go, Dad. So because obviously the deer died. Probably.
Yeah, the deer. Yeah, she was dead because the fender gored her, right? Like that was it. She was dead when I hit her. You know what I mean?
And what bones broke? So your ribs?
Yeah. So
your collarbone or?
Yeah, all of my ribs, collarbone, and my shoulder blade. Actually, I snapped my shoulder blade in half, and I broke the number one rib, which is supposed to go through your heart when it breaks. That's why you have your shoulder blade, because that's where your number one rib is. But it didn't. That's why the guy told me. He's like, yeah, you're probably bleeding out inside, but it didn't.
So yeah. How long did the recovery take?
So this is kind of a weird story, a side story with this. So, obviously banged up, busted up, go live with some family. Obviously can't work. Right. Obviously. And they tell me, they're like, dude, you're not going to be able to like really get around until like December or January. This was in July.
No more baseball.
Yeah. They're like, this is in July that I hit the deer. And they're like, yeah, you're not going to be moving around until until, December or January. Yeah. So I'm not one to sit around. I don't want to be idle. So I just start walking around the block, right? Mm-hmm. Like just, going for little like hikes on the road, it hurts like heck, but getting it done. And, go for a couple doctor visits. My third doctor visit, I go in, I think it was September, maybe end of August. I go in on my third doctor visit, and they take the x-rays, and I'm feeling pretty good. They take the x-rays, the nurse brings the x-rays in. The doctor says, no, I need this patient's x-rays. And she's like, this is that patient's x-rays. And he looks at it and he's like, dude, your bones are like healed.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I ended up, I had a buddy who came into some money. He was buying houses. So literally end of September, I think it was end of September. I bought an old Ford truck because I'd sell everything, right? Because I didn't have insurance or anything. I'm still paying for this.
You got to get by.
Yeah, I bought an old Ford truck and moved back up to Utah, and I started remodeling houses like beginning of October, I think. I think I have the timeline right. So like less than 4 or 5 months after the accident, I was, moving 4x8 sheets of plywood around. It was hard because I was weak, but yeah, no lasting problems. Like I'm a little crooked now. I don't know if you can see.
I actually can a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little crooked, but other than being a little crooked, we're all a little crooked. It was all right. But
seems logical because Zach has that Wolverine DNA.
Yeah, something, man. So yeah, that's my story, and yeah, it's a special story to me just because I've kind of hinted at it here or there, but for me, it really like it was this solidifying moment in my life where it was like, dude, you just got to do what you like. You got to do what you want to do. Like you need to treat people with love and kindness. And I always, my whole life, I've always tried to do that. It's really easy to get caught up in doing what other people want you to do or how they want you to do it. You can treat people with love and kindness and still do the things that you want to do, the things that fulfill you. And like, I lost my best friend. I lost my buddy. That was a very close, intense situation. And then his bike, right, brought me to this moment where I had to like reanalyze my whole life as well. Yeah. And it was scary, but it was scary in the most beautiful way. Right. So yeah, it's a special story for me. And I don't know, hope like maybe that does something for somebody else. I don't know, but there's my story.
I'm sure it will. Seems logical is asking, is there any lasting damage that you're dealing with still?
Yeah, so a little crooked. So like pull-ups, like muscle ups specifically, like when you muscle up through the bar. I haven't really been able to do those since the accident.
Well, I would imagine that's got to be tough to
So a little bit of like weird mobility in that range, but otherwise no, man. Like since then, like I've worked full on construction jobs. I've hit some of my like best PRs lifting weights, which is great. But yeah, that's really the only lasting thing is a little bit of mobility with the shoulder here or there. You know what I mean? But not too bad actually.
Quentin, thank you for the 2 bones. He says, that's it. I'm subscribing to you, Zach.
Thanks, dude.
That's what did it. My dad got hit by a backhoe on the job and crushed his spine. He wound up being paraplegic. He was paralyzed. He wound up living 13 years. I took care of him. But while he was hurt, he was in the hospital. He didn't have a voice, anything. He had a trach and broke all his ribs. I mean, just was all messed up. But at the same time, I also had a really good friend. Why is this thing? I can hear an echo. Sorry, hang on a second.
Oh, it's okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. A friend got into a motorcycle accident and a really bad one, bad one. So they were next door to each other in the same hospital, in the ICU, but it was a bad time, obviously, having people in there, but it was also kind of a not, I don't want to say good, but it worked out good because even my dad it was so bad, for him, and for him to have somebody there, to kind of inspire and talk to. And then same thing for the friend that they kind of worked off of each other. And they kind of built each other up, made each other laugh and things like that. And the guy now, he's great. He only has a scar, but at the time, though, it was really bad. And my dad, like I said, he was paralyzed, until he died. But yeah, motorcycle accidents, man. I've been in a few. I got dragged on rocks, on gravel, and was pulling the rocks out of my back for like a week.
Ooh,
little pebbles. I still have scars all over my back from it because it dragged me. I don't know, 50 feet or something. But because I slid, and it just dragged me down the rocks. My back is just and And yeah, man, it can in any accident, not even just motorcycles, cars, anything. You know,
Yeah.
I had a friend, you know, we were just talking about losing friends. I had a friend I lost. It was my first best friend I lost. He left my house and a lady was putting makeup on while she was driving. And he had just left my house and was literally 100 yards from his house. And the lady hit him. It was an accident, but killed him on impact.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, tragedies, man, but they do make us stronger and make some, I think honestly too, they can make our relationships with other people stronger too.
Yeah.
At least I try to do that. Like I know thinking about some of the friends and family that I've lost, because I've lost a lot of friends, a lot.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
From every different type of situation, from murder to drug overdose to accidents to this to that, just everything. So, but it really has made me think about, like, you know, the way I care for my friends and telling them I love them and things like that. I think is very important. And I wouldn't have that if not for those moments and having those relationships. But really quick, I'm not trying to go into my own story, but I actually took, you know, you were talking about your friend Andrew.
Yeah.
My friend Andrew, you know, after he passed away, I took his ashes and I actually, because we buried him because he didn't have a gravesite. So we actually made a gravesite. I actually dug him his grave.
Yeah.
And me and him had dug so many holes in my life doing construction. I'm talking about lots of fucking holes, you know, because doing construction, you dig a lot.
Yeah, you dig a lot.
And when I dug that hole, it was just for a tree, but I was digging it 6 feet. Like that was what I was going to do because I'm putting ashes down in there. So I dug it 6 feet. And you know, here in this area, you know, we're next to Lake Michigan. So it's all blue clay once you get down like 4 feet.
Yeah.
So you wind up hitting blue clay. So for 2 feet, I'm digging through blue clay. That's literally like digging a rock. It's so bad.
No, it's bad. It's like a rock. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It's like rock. Yeah.
Yep.
But the way I looked at it was that this was the last hole I was going to dig with him, you know?
Yep.
And it was like the hardest hole I ever dug and the easiest one at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I was just putting everything into it. By the time I was done, it probably took me like 8 hours to dig it. And I had other people, but it was like I wasn't even wanting them to help.
Yep.
I was bleeding, muddy, dirty, sweating, just everything. But we got pictures of it all, and it was, you know, a great moment.
Yep.
And now we still have that. And the reason why we picked an apple tree is because he loved Granny Smith apples. So we picked a Granny Smith apple tree to put there.
That's awesome.
I do appreciate you coming on. This was a great time. We have 2 more minutes, so I do want to shout out your YouTube channel and your Instagram and get more people over there. Can the moderators, can you guys please link his channel one more time?
Thanks, guys.
And you got any videos coming up here soon that you can talk about?
Yeah, we actually have 2 that I could tease real quick. We just finished one today that I'm a little embarrassed about, switching gears. But here's the thing. It's going to be a good one. You know, if you guys want to check it out, it'd be great. We did some scrimshaw work, which you don't know what scrimshaw is. Neither did I. You probably do.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you probably do, but you probably don't. Anyways, so I did some scrimshaw about the red ghost. This is all I'm going to show. I'm not going to show the other side. But if you don't know what the red ghost is, if you don't know what scrimshaw is, if you want to see me basically probably fail at something, check out the video coming out this week.
Nice. Oh yeah.
And then the one after that we're currently working on is I've been messing around with these Milwaukee fastbacks lately. Okay. And this one in particular.
Oh, nice.
I got a lot to say about this thing. That might be interesting. So
I had somebody recently asking me to do a video about the Milwaukee fastback. So you go.
You should check them out. But yeah, so this one will be in a week or so, or like in a week and a half. Lot to say about this one. I think there's some exciting stuff with this, some possibilities. But anyways, so that's that's the 2 we got coming up.
There you guys go. Yeah, definitely go over there and subscribe. Give him a follow. Give him some love. Same thing with his Instagram. Dude, like I said, I think your channel, man, your channel's so good. I
Thanks.
like it. You're killing it, man. You
Thanks,
really
bro.
are. I love your content and the way you go about your videos, even the way you open up to the way you transition into the topics and everything. It's seamless and I love it.
Thanks.
I'm like I said earlier, man, I'm taking notes because well, because I'm always trying to improve no matter what. Like that's what
Yeah,
we
same.
always want to do, right? Aren't we
Same. Yeah.
always all trying to improve to some extent? So
Yep.
I want the channel to be as good as possible. Um, obviously the best I can do, but I'm only capable of so much. Like I learned when I started this channel, and I swear to God, I honestly didn't even know how to use a computer whatsoever, not even a
Right.
little bit.
Right.
I didn't know how to use a camera. I bought a camera, but at first it was my phone.
Yep.
Barely knew how to use a phone, aside from just dialing. Like I didn't have any social medias, any of that stuff. So it was a huge learning thing for me. And so now I know how to edit. I do all, I know how to do all this stuff, but I'm obviously still learning. So, seeing videos like yours, man, really shows me what I can get into and what I can do because it's amazing. Guys, go and check out Zach on his channel. Everything's linked down in the description for anybody watching this later on. Zach, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, thanks so much. It's been great.
And shout out to all the patron members. Shout out to all the Bang Gang members. And thank you to all the people that donated tonight. I do appreciate it. I love you guys. Peace.